Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
This fire was preventable. This situation was avoidable. This is a consequence of negligence, malfeasance, ineptitude, and corruption in Sacramento, in Los Angeles, and even in Washington, D.C. Hello, folks. Welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. I've been reticent to report on the topic of the apocalyptic fires taking place in Los Angeles because we simply didn't know enough about it. Lots of content creators and media outlets have been speculating and raising all kinds of conspiracy theories and also unfounded claims. Well, what we do know, it has been truly apocalyptic, and Los Angeles, in many respects, is utterly destroyed, at least parts of it, like Pacific Palisades and elsewhere. Pretty frightening prospect here. Now, what's been going on? A lot of things. Donald Trump has criticized this, and then he's been attacked by an army of online trolls on Twitter, saying that he's just running his mouth, including none other than the useless governor of California, Gavin Newsom, gruesome Gavin Newsom, who's also been complaining about Donald Trump instead of doing his job. Well, Donald Trump warned people about this in 2018 because we kept spending money, taking taxpayer money to recover California because of the sloth and the uselessness of the authorities in California to deal with these problems and prevent them from becoming the conflagrations that they are. Trump warned us in 2018, and just about 5 months ago during the campaign, he also warned everybody once again about the hazards in California and the problems.
And you could revert water up into the hills where you have all the dead forests, where the forests are so brittle, because no place is like California. I go to Austria. The head of Austria tells me, we have trees that are much more flammable than what you have in California. We never have forest fires because they maintain their forests. And you'd stop many of these horrible fires that are costing billions and billions of dollars by the federal government, etc.
Now, stay tuned for exclusive footage from firefighting crews doing aviation operations with helicopters. Right here, this exclusively came to me through a contact who is a fireman, and his colleague is involved in fighting these fires right now. Now, these guys are real heroes, true aviation heroes. It's amazing what they do, whether they're doing it helicopters with rotary wing aircraft or they're flying these fixed wing aircraft, courageously, many former military pilots, but regardless of what their origin, these guys are true heroes. They do it in Canada, they do it in the U.S., using the Canada Air aircraft, using other ones who fly in, scoop water up on lakes and bodies of water, and then fly over to put the fire out, plus the flame retardant that's dropped out here. It's unbelievable. And their lives are put at risk. We just saw recently here today where a civilian drone not assigned to the fire operations flew into a Super Scooper plane, Quebec 1, one of two aircraft that come down under contract every fire season from Canada in the wintertime. It was hit by a drone that had no business flying in the area at about 1 p.m., and that thing forced this aircraft to the ground, according to Los Angeles Fire Department spokesperson Eric Scott. Nobody was injured, and the aircraft landed safely, but it's been grounded since this occurred. Flying a drone in the midst of firefighting efforts is a federal crime, punishable up to 12 months in prison or a fine of $75,000. This could have ended very tragically from looky-loos who feel the need to stick their nose into what's going on here. This isn't a game. Get your drones out of the air. The Federal Aviation Administration said that they will investigate that incident. This is unbelievable how people actually behave with this nonsense. While the online Twitter sphere is full of comments about the woke DEI nonsense is taking place with the Los Angeles Fire Department, we have video footage of the confused and discombobulated mayor returning from an unnecessary trip to Ghana for the inauguration of President Muhammad. Why is she in Ghana? She's the mayor of Los Angeles. It's not a sister city with the country of Ghana. It's not even a sister city with Accra, is it? Maybe it is. I don't know. But why is the mayor of Los Angeles in Ghana for this? If we're going to go from a strictly ethnic standpoint, only 9% of the city of Los Angeles is black, if you're trying to make some sort of affiliation there. Is there some sort of relationship between Angelenos and Ghana? No, none whatsoever. This is ridiculous. And she's over there wasting taxpayer money. Meanwhile, she's cut the budget of the fire department, but that's not the reason why this fire's out of control, although people are making that claim.
People ask me, well, what number are you looking for? I say, I'm not looking for a number. It's never enough.
Out of 3,300 city firefighters, only 115 are women.
The fire's also not out of control because she's a woke DEI lunatic. That's not why, although that probably had an impact on the efficacy and capability of the fire department.
She's also the department's first openly gay leader as well. So let's welcome and congratulate soon-to-be Los Angeles Fire Chief Kristen Crowley.
Just the fact that she's a lesbian and the fact that she's a DEI lunatic has nothing to do with the issues here. But of course, she has openly stated that her primary strategic objective and goal is to get rid of white guys in the fire department. That's stupid, and I'm sure that's had a major impact.
To tell us about her vision for the department's future, one that includes a 3-year strategic plan to increase diversity.
Don't forget that Los Angeles Fire Department also sacked firefighters who refused to get the jab during the COVID scam. Yep, that also is a factor here. But many of the things people are attributing to are maybe contributing factors, but not the proximate or primary cause of what's going on here in Los Angeles. So DEI, woke, lesbian promotion, whatever people are complaining about here. Also, people are complaining about the reservoirs being empty. There was, in fact, a reservoir that was empty. That is a factual one. But that reservoir is not the reason why this fire got out of control. It could have played a role in reducing and preventing some fire. But of course, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the Santa Ynez Reservoir. It's been closed for repairs to its cover. That's 117 million gallons of water storage in the hills in the heart of Pacific Palisades that was not available. Now, how does this happen? Why was that repair not done sooner? Now, this revelation comes among growing questions about why firefighters ran out of water battling the blaze. A lot of fire hydrants, as much as 20% of them in the higher elevations of Palisades, went dry. Firefighters had no water or low water pressure. Now, had that reservoir been operational, that would have extended the amount of water available and it kept the pressure going on Tuesday night. However, according to General Manager Martin Adams, that only would have lasted a short time. And that's a fair statement. Now, including the aqueduct reservoirs, the city can store 91 billion gallons of waters across its vast infrastructure. That Santa Ynez complex holds 117 million, and it wasn't available. So stored water was a problem, but not the only problem. So we've discussed the DEI woke nonsense, which contributed but isn't the proximate cause. We've now discussed the lack of water in a reservoir, which is a contributing factor but not the cause. But here's another problem. One of the problems is that the lines that pump these things rely on power lines, which are still above ground, apparently. Why are power lines in these ecologically sensitive areas above ground to catch fire, to cause sparks, to be part of the contributing disaster here. These all should have been buried long ago. That's up to the power companies and the authorities there. Why are power lines above ground? There's no power lines above ground in my settlement here in central Pennsylvania. They're all buried underground where they should be. Idiocy, lunacy, laziness, sloth, stupidity, and arrogance, as well as hubris, all contributing to this fire. So the pumps that feed water up to the hills from some locations ran dry. There's not enough water. But they also ran dry because some of them couldn't get power to the pumps because the power lines were burned. Had they been underground, it would have been a different situation. Or more importantly, have these water systems that feed water to the Palisades and to other areas been an independent power system at a different location instead of relying on the public grid, they could have survived longer. Now, the firefighters that are out there are just absolutely heroic, unbelievable. Hopefully none of them lose their lives in this apocalyptic mess that's Los Angeles, including those on the ground, heroic efforts, as well as the firefighters who are in the air with these helicopters and with these fire bombers, these tankers. They're doing an amazing job. So people are asking the question, what's that red stuff being dropped? Well, that's fire retardant, specifically Phos-Chek LC95, which is sold by a company called Perimeter. Now, big tankers can drop as much as 9,400 gallons of Phos-Chek onto trees and potential source of fire. They go out in front of the fire in the direction it's headed to put this flame retardant out there to prevent the fire from spreading. It's best used in that fashion. Air tankers and chemical fire retardants have been used since the 1950s. They help firefighters reach difficult spots. Now, you might be saying, how do you know anything about this? What are you? You're not a firefighter. Well, I'm in the military, and we do have a lot of experience fighting fires with state-of-the-art advanced techniques. Beyond that, also, I have a relationship with the North Carolina National Guard when I was chief of the Office of Security Cooperation in Botswana. And one of the things we were trying to bring to Botswana for their C-130 fleet were MAFs. These are the systems that mount on C-130s that have tanks on the back of them that collect the water that help put these fires out. It's just been reported by the president. We're sending 8 DoD C-130s to California. Well, it's a bit late. Why aren't these on station? Why hasn't the California government in Sacramento purchased these things ahead of time and had them on hand and trained pilots? Good question, because they don't care. Folks, as far as the dangerous occupation for firefighters, according to information available from the Centers for Disease Control, the most recent data available from 2015, between the year 2000 and 2013, there were 78 aviation deaths related to fighting wildfires. So how do we get here? If it wasn't DEI, if it wasn't reservoirs, well, it was a combination of all these things. But ultimately, it's hubris. The densely packed residential areas, insufficiently spaced, and in a situation in a geographic location where winds tend to come annually, not to mention the poor forest management's been taking place because people are reticent to allow for controlled burns. The authorities, the residents don't want this sort of thing by and large. All of this plays a role. The incompetence of the government in California, not having sufficient firefighting aircraft and plans in action, or in place, I should say, plans in place for how to surge during a time like this. As many as 2,300 firefighters on the ground fighting this at the same time. These men and women get exhausted. You need to have a red, amber, green cycle to replace them and get them in there. And maybe they have that. We don't know. We certainly don't know because of the mayor, Mayor Bass, who seems completely clueless about what's going on. What's more important to her is to go to Virtue Signal and attend the inauguration of a foreign president in Africa than to do her damn job when she was warned that this was coming. Clear the brush, fill the reservoirs, put the adequate pumping equipment in there, underground storage of power lines, all of this plays a role. And for goodness gracious sake, quit building McMansions on the coast of Florida in the path of hurricanes. Quit building superstructure McMansions in the foothills of Los Angeles and densely packing people in the ground space below the hills, setting a tinderbox for nature to wreak its revenge. Now, speaking of nature, we don't even know if these are wildfires. The media and the government constantly saying they're wildfires, but we've had multiple reports now of arsonists, but no further information on that. All of these fires starting simultaneously or near simultaneously is a very odd situation, to say the least. Maybe they're natural fires, but natural fires normally occur from two main sources: volcanic activity, lava, or lightning strikes. Where were the lightning strikes reported when this happened? I don't know. I'm not here to speculate. And oh, by the way, Joe Biden just put you and me on the hook to rebuild Los Angeles. hours after these fires started. Where was he in North Carolina? Completely absent for 8 to 10 days. Didn't even show up in North Carolina eventually. He sent Kamala Harris after 8 days. People washed away, buried in rubble, in creek beds, miles from their home. Their homes utterly destroyed. All in advance of an election. People who predominantly vote conservative. And the federal government had nothing to help them. But here we are just hours later, zipping out to Hollywood to take care of California. What's that all about? Are Californians more important than Carolinians or Alabamans or Georgians? I don't think so. All Americans' lives matter.
So today I'm announcing that the federal government will cover 100% of the cost for 180 days. This is going to pay for things like debris and hazard material removal, temporary shelters, first responders' salaries, and all necessary measures to protect life and property. And folks, I want to underscore, I told the governor and local officials, spare no expense to do what they need to do and contain these fires and in their communities that have really been devastating.
What say you, folks? Hope you enjoyed the exclusive footage. God bless and good luck to California. Oh, and to us, since we're paying for it.